Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hibiscus Sports Complex and QBL Round 4 action. Tonight we are covering the Southwest Metro Pirates taking on the Toowoomba Mountaineers for the second time so far this season. And as always, I am joined by QBL, Seabull, just about everything MVP, Dan George, and as always, our awesome live stream extraordinaire, John Guana. My name is Regan Baker, and welcome to the QBL Game of the Week. Dan, and what a game we should have on our hands tonight. Obviously, last time these two teams came together, it was a 108-52 victory to the Pirates. But the Mountaineers, they do have their new import playing for the first time tonight. How much of an impact do you think that's going to have?
Well, these teams are at very different stages in their development. I think that's fair to say. And I would think from Toowoomba's point of view, they need to be patient as a club just in terms of their culture, because it's going to take a little while for these girls to get into a system. I think Easy Parsons, their coach, will be bringing a different culture, hopefully, to that club over the next few months of the season, which will take a while to adjust. But now that they've got two Americans here, I would not be surprised if they do a lot of two-man game, a lot of pick and rolls with their two imports, just to try and get the scoreboard ticking over at a higher rate than they've been able to do so far this season. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, Southwest is coming into tonight's game undefeated. They've been having an incredible season so far. They're finally starting to gel a little bit as a team as well. And we do have returning Jade Kirasoma after she's come back from the Gems camp down south as well. And the last time these two teams came together, Kirasoma scored 30 points, the highest I think she's ever had in the QBL season, and top scored for the game as well. So she'll, coming back off last week off, she'll be a big impact for the Southwest side as well.
She definitely will be. Obviously a very, very talented young player, which any club would be happy to have on their roster. But if you look down at the Southwest team, they've got very experienced coaching and very experienced players as well. I mean, Nat Taylor so far is putting up 4 points a game on the season, but when she's capable of going off at 20 on any other team, coming off the common games, it just shows the level of depth they've got when someone of that class doesn't have to play a major role. So they've got high expectations, I'm sure, to go very deep into the postseason. So while they're here against a young Toowoomba team, Southwest, I'm sure, are trying to work on things with the bigger picture in mind as well.
Yeah, definitely so. And especially when Nat Taylor, she only had 1 or 2 games so far this season, so not doing a lot of scoring, still trying to get used to this season. But the Southwest team goes deep. When you got the likes of Kelly Page and some of the other girls on that team coming off the bench, you know that you've got a depth of talent coming from the Southwest lineup. So it is going to be a very tough fight for the Toowoomba Mountaineers here this afternoon, but you never know what's going to happen. The import situation may be a little bit more to their advantage as well. So they do have Donasia, and sorry if I do pronounce that incorrectly, Fountain coming in. So big lineup from Toowoomba, and as always, Southwest coming in with a very, very strong lineup as well.
And I think if you're Toowoomba, your depth is probably not as deep as Southwest in terms of the bench production that they're going to get. So Southwest are going to want to play maybe at a higher tempo, whereas if I'm Toowoomba, I want to slow the pace down, maybe try and keep it low scoring, because these 5 girls that we see starting the game, they're going to have to play big minutes for Toowoomba tonight.
And they're going to have to play a very strong defensive game as well, because at the end of this, Toowoomba is only going to get the win if they can play a good defensive game of basketball. Because if they can't stop Southwest going on scoring runs, they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. But it looks like they're going aggressive early as well, taking a shot within the first 14 seconds. So attacking the rim nice and early. Not able to score on that occasion, though, as Seacamp goes out wide to Ellsworthy, who fires a deep 3. No good, but recovers her own rebound and goes straight again to the bucket. So Southwest doing a lot of work early on to get the first 2 points of the game.
And I think we saw there what one of the keys for Toowoomba is going to be. They actually played decent defense, forced a jump shot, but gave up 2 offensive rebounds. So when you're a younger team, maybe a little bit inexperienced, you can play good D, but you've got to make sure you secure that rebound before the possession's over.
Yeah, they go straight back to the 3-point bomb there from the captain, Washington.
Yeah, at the moment, I think Toowoomba probably just wants to junk things up, Dan, to give themselves the best opportunity. I think if they try to run and gun with Southwest, though, they're asking for trouble.
I agree, John. And I think that's, as Fountain shows her athleticism, giving a great board and pushing the pace a little bit. But I think that's what we were saying earlier. Toowoomba has to control the tempo. Coming down and shooting shots like this, whilst you want to have freedom, I think, and give these girls confidence, going up and down, playing 5-6 second offense, by the time the second half rolls around, these main 5 girls are going to be exhausted, and that might lead to some deeper bench play for Toowoomba, which may not be their strength at this stage in the year anyway.
Yeah, as Maddie Willie takes a corner 3-point drop as well, taking the lead out to 2 for Southwest. But I think that's a very good point as well, Dan. Like, Toowoomba, they're not going to be able to play a run-and-gun game for a full 40 minutes. When a lot of the talent is coming out of the starting 5 lineup, they can't keep taking long drops like that. It may work for the first couple of minutes of the game on fresh legs, But come down to that second half straight, they're not going to continue being able to play short offense. It's just not going to work for them.
And that Southwest game, though, if you want to run with Southwest, you're asking for trouble because they're a deep team. They're a talented team. They can score in bunches as well. You see Bairstow firing away from deep. Pretty much anyone they put out on the court can get buckets. So I think if you try and play up tempo with Southwest, you're asking for trouble, especially with the Mountaineers.
And let's remember, too, Fountain just got here, so she might have had one practice with the team. So in terms of running set plays and offenses, Toowoomba's going to have a hard time tonight simply because one of their best players hasn't been here to run and learn the offenses. So I'm sure they're going to rely on a bit of freelancing on offense, but they've got to lock in on defense and try and grind out some long possessions.
Yeah, as Washington try to slow things down a little bit there for Toowoomba and going to work on the inside as well. So that's a great start from Washington.
Washington's got some game. Showed the through ball earlier and comes back with some nice penetration there.
Coming off the season, Washington's been having a really, really great season for Toowoomba as well. Like she's averaging only around about 20 points a game. You know, and I say only, but man, she's been having a killer season so far for Toowoomba as well.
And don't forget, if we're guarding or playing against Toowoomba, she takes most of the focus. And now they've got the second import here, that will help. But that's a 20 points per game with no easy buckets. She has to work hard for every single possession she gets. So that's impressive.
As Washington going to work again down low. Can't quite get the conversion. So we are still locked at 5 apiece with 3 minutes in. As Mellors goes to the bucket for Southwest for 2.
I think Washington's about to get subbed out of the game, though. This is, I might be wrong, but I think Coach Parsons not happy at all with her effort. Misses a layup. You've got to get back on D. And these younger girls from Toowoomba look to these imports as their leaders. So you miss a layup, if you're not hustling back, you're at it. That's part of the culture that they're trying to build up there, I think.
One thing that I'll also say, Dan, for Southwest, you have to imagine that Coach Cheney not happy with the Southwest defense to start the game. Too many easy buckets and very slow in transition. I mean, to give up an opportunity right over the top of your transition defense, I'm sure Coach Cheney will have plenty to say during the next break and play.
Well, John, I think there's an old expression that says, a win's a win. We'll take the win, but I'm not sure that's entirely true. There's different ways to win a ball game, and Southwest will most likely win tonight, you would think, unless there's an upset, as Washington is out of the game.
Yeah, she's getting
subbed out for the long run. D, but I think like a win's a win, true, but there's a certain way you go about it, and you can't accept winning playing the wrong way. And I think Coach Cheney's going to want to make sure that those little lapses, like giving up layups, John, doesn't happen. Because if it does, they're not going to be where they want to be at the end of the year.
Well, the reality is the Pirates want to contend for a championship. To me, a championship team should probably win tonight by a solid 30-plus points.
And as you were saying as well, Dan, like a win isn't necessarily a win. I know that's the expression, but I kind of agree with you as well, because a win but playing sloppy offense, lazy defense, it's a win this week, but it does nothing towards your development in future weeks as well. Because if you win a sloppy game of basketball, it's not going to help you learn and develop and actually play next week against a team that may be 50%, 70% tougher. It doesn't help you at all in future weeks. It's just lazy.
I agree.
So Willie here takes a top of the key 3-point drop. That one's no good. Still a score locked at 5-7. Southwest just remains in the lead.
The Toowoomba zone is really kind of confusing Southwest. And we've seen at times Southwest struggle against zone defense. Same exact thing is happening at the moment. It's going to take them a little bit to figure out this zone, but I think once they do, Dan, I expect the floodgates to open.
Toowoomba going back and subbing Washington back into the game as well. So I think just need to have a little bit of a side conversation, start getting a bit of a plan out there for the Toowoomba girls as well. So took her off the court for all of about a minute, but she's back out on the floor now as well.
Well, I think it's like she has to play 40 minutes. Let's just be straight up about that. But I think that's a little sub, just a reminder that you're not above what we're trying to do here. So I mean, you're going to have a green light to shoot as much as you want, but to get that green light, you've got to play D.
Yeah, Bairstow, nice little free throw jump shot there for 2 as well. As Nat Taylor checks into the game as well for Southwest. So, as I said, when you got talent like that subbing in from the bench, Southwest does go very, very deep. Made 2 subs so far, but still got an incredibly talented team on the court.
But how many players who've just come off a Commonwealth Games would be happy to come off the bench and sacrifice like that as well? It just says a lot culturally about where this Southwest team's at, that like a Nat Taylor's happy to play a limited role.
Yeah, I was talking to assistant coach Scott McKenzie before the game, and he just said the camaraderie in the group, the togetherness is really night and day from what it has been in the past here at Southwest. And I think that's one of the strengths of this team. You can see when you're tight and a close-knit group off the court, Dan, you see it reflected in how you play on the court.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was a nice little inside drive there from Southwest coming straight out of C camp. But I think what you said is incredibly true, John. For the first time, I think, in several years at least anyway, Southwest has a very great mix of young local talent that's grown up through the Southwest system, but you're combining that with Commonwealth WNBL talent as well. So you're developing your younger players, and as a whole team, they are working really, really well together, and they're getting along great, as you can see out on the floor.
Yeah, and that's a credit to the veteran players that they've brought in also. You know, like you said before, with Nat Taylor is a perfect example, accepting your role and doing what's best for the team.
Ellsworthy, nice little jump shot there, just inside the three-point line for 2. Lead extended out to 5-13, so Southwest in it by 8. Toowoomba already starting to look a little bit loose on the legs as well, so they're starting to struggle. Their defense is collapsing a little bit, but still going to work on the offensive side, just not able to convert on some occasions, as Russell turns the ball over Seacamp with a nice little fast hand for the steal.
Yeah, turnovers are a weakness of this Mountaineers group. They lead the QBL women's competition in turnovers per game. If you don't take care of the ball, you're just giving the opposition more and more opportunities, and that's what we see. You know, Southwest has already capitalized on a few turnovers here so far tonight. It's an area that Toowoomba definitely needs to improve in.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a timeout on the floor from Coach Parson, so we're going to take a quick break as well. But we'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Round 4 action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And we're back with you here at Hibiscus Sports Complex for the QBL Game of the Week in Round 4 action. Southwest taking an early lead, up by 8 at the moment, with Nicole Seacamp going to the line for a couple of shots as well. Dan, if you're Toowoomba at this stage of the game, what do you think they need to adjust in terms of their defense to stop Southwest really taking off here and getting an early breakaway?
That is a difficult question to answer on the spot. I actually think, and this might show a little bit of my bias to shooting the ball, but I think a lot of it's got to do with their offense in terms of limiting turnovers and just slowing the pace down a little bit. I think, and we spoke earlier in the game about this high tempo, the flow of offense that they're playing, which looks great when shots are falling, but they're taking a lot of jump shots and they're turning the ball over a lot. So that leads to rebounds or early leak outs from Southwest, which gets them on the foul line, which gets them layups, which gets them easy looks. So I think if Toowoomba can just say, girls, we need to slow it down, maybe run 3-4 ball reversals, get into some on balls, get the ball in the paint, just slow down their offense. That might limit some of these breakouts from Southwest, because Toowoomba's half-court D is actually not bad. Like John said, they're doing a good job mixing it up in the zone, making Southwest work for their possessions, but it's those easy looks that Southwest get off early shots and turnovers that's killing Toowoomba at the moment.
Yeah, I think you got a good point as well, because at the moment, Toowoomba's run and gun game, it's going one of two ways. They're taking a shot within 6 or 8 seconds of the shot clock starting, or they're turning the ball over. And in both those situations, it gives Southwest a lot more opportunities to get the ball down their end of the court and actually capitalize off the shot. And
one of the sorry to interrupt, Regan. I think it's almost unfair. Like, Izzy Parsons comes in to coach the team, and it's not going to be a great record for her. Steph Besto shows her range, as she seems to do every time we broadcast her games. But I mean, I think you have to go back if you're the Mountaineers and look at who's coaching under 14s, who's coaching under 16s, who's coaching the juniors, because by the time you get to the QBL stage, some of the things that should be embedded is just not there, which makes it very hard to come in and run some structured basketball.
I think also, Dan, one of the things that this group for Toowoomba, you hit the nail on the head. They've got to move the ball. You got to move the defense, force the defense to make a tough decision. and they're allowing the Southwest defense to get set, and because you're not moving the ball, the defense can just sit there and wait for you to take a shot. They're not getting the ball inside the paint. They're settling for jump shots. Doesn't really look like they're trying to attack the basket. That leads to poor shooting percentages and long rebounds. You give up the long rebounds, that leads to easy buckets on the other end for Southwest.
I think it just comes down to having a feel for the game, which you develop at an earlier age. By the time you get to the QBL level, there should just be things that you know how to play, but there's obviously some deficiencies, but it's a work in progress, and I think the fact that the Mountaineers have obviously invested in their program, 2 imports on the floor, a coach who, as far as I know, is a full-time coach. It shows they're aware of the need to develop their players, which hopefully in the next 2, 3, 5 years leads to a really good product that city can be proud of.
And let's talk a little bit about what Southwest is doing well, Dan. They're doing the complete opposite. They're really sharing the ball. They're looking after the pill, doing a good job defensively, and getting the ball through hands, moving the defense, attacking gaps, and controlling the glass.
Well, that final one, John, I don't think Toowoomba's had, and we'll check the stats at quarter time, but how many offensive rebounds has Toowoomba had? Maybe not many. So Southwest aren't turning it over and they're controlling the board. So 2 huge boxes to tick for any team, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. Those are great habits to be creating.
Yeah, well, Toowoomba does only have 2 offensive rebounds, so they don't have a great number so far in terms of this game. And that's a big factor for Southwest. That's what's been working well. They've been attacking the boards. They take a shot. I mean, it's hard to get offensive rebounds when you're just hitting the bucket. But when they are taking their shots, they're not just standing back and letting it sit there. They're actually attacking the rim to try and get those boards as well. And I think Southwest just has a much better structure in their offense at the moment, and they're really capitalizing on every opportunity.
And I also think you mentioned Fountain playing her first game. She'd be exhausted. She's only been in Australia, I think, for 2 days. So not only trying to adjust to a new lifestyle, a new culture, new climate, everything, now she's got to come in and play ball. And, against probably, arguably the top team in the women's competition, they're sitting in second in the ladder, coming into tonight undefeated. It's a really tall task for Fountain. And she's a player that Toowoomba, like Dan said in the pregame, they're going to have to rely on her. She's going to have to play big minutes, and she's going to have to produce in those minutes.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it is always tough in your first game of the season with a team that you've never played with before. And you don't really know how the team operates as a whole. But I think you're right. As this team develops, as they get stronger as a group, as Coach Parsons gets a little bit more time to work with the entire team, they are going to develop and they are going to come a long way as well. I think Toowoomba is always going to rely quite heavily on Fountain and Washington. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. If they've got some good developing talent coming through the junior ranks and into the squad, if you've got 2 really good run and gun players that are shooting high percentage, it's not a bad thing. It could be, it could be a lot worse. You could have come into the game without having that second import and just relying on one. So I think Toowoomba is only going to get better throughout this season. There's a lot of takeaways from their game so far, but if they keep going back to the tape, if they keep listening to Coach Parsons and what she's going to be teaching them after every round, they're going to improve, and they're going to improve substantially as well.
Coach Parsons might end up playing some games this year, depending how they go, but time will tell. Anyway,
Yeah.
26-5 at the first break. Entertaining from Southwest point of view, an entertaining quarter. They'll be fairly happy, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely so. I think Coach Cheney, there's still going to be a couple of things he's going to want to talk to his girls about after that first quarter, but as you said, that is the end of the first, so it is a 26-5 lead. Southwest up by 21 going into quarter time break, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with more live QBL action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sports Australia. And we're back with you live from Hibiscus Sports Complex for your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. It's 26-5, Southwest in the lead over the Toowoomba Mountaineers. And Toowoomba having a little bit of a struggle to come out in the first quarter as well. Currently, they've got more turnovers than points, which is not a good position to be in for Toowoomba. They're having a little bit of a tough start. But Dan, you've got the stats in front of you. Let's walk us through some of your key points.
Well, there's a lot we could talk about, but let's just focus on the shooting percentage of Toowoomba, and not to be negative, but let's just call it what it is. 2 of 18, they're shooting 11% for the game. Southwest are at 50%. Obviously the rebound count, the turnover count, Toowoomba yet to record an assist. There's lots of things we could talk about, but if I was in the Toowoomba huddle, we're shooting 2 of 18, maybe that says, girls, let's try and just run this set or this set, whatever they've been working on during the last few weeks of practice, and let's try and get to the foul line. Let's try and get some layups, because those jump shots are not falling. And when there's 16 missed shots and 6 turnovers in the first quarter, that leads to a lot of Southwest layups at the other end.
And I think, Dan, going back to what I was saying before in the first quarter, they're settling for jump shots too. There's nothing inside the paint. We haven't seen any action anywhere near really close to the basket. I think 1 or 2 shots at the basket, and that's about it. They need to devise or run something that's going to get them some easy looks.
Do we all know the old UCLA set? High post, let the point guard rub off, and then go set on ball on the wing. Just keep it simple and just run something like that over and over and over. Let Washington come off a wing on ball and just see what happens. Try and get into the paint. Just do something, because at the moment it's not looking good. But Southwest coming out, mixing up their their defense as well, which is making it difficult for Toowoomba to get a read. But there's Fountain being aggressive, getting herself to the foul line. Those are great signs. Not settling for the jump shot like we just said.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big key things as well. Like, I'd love to see a statistic for number of sets of hands touched before a shot is taken as well, because as we said at the end of the last quarter, there's no real strong ball movement from the Mountaineers, and it's just allowing Southwest just to stand still and play defense without really moving too much, which is not a position you want to be in, because Southwest is a fast team, and if they get to relax on defense, it means they're going to be so much faster and so much more aggressive on offense as well.
I think this is just it's a great opportunity, and it's a good introduction to the league for Fountain, I think. I think Southwest going to run. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone sees some minutes tonight if the game continues to go the way that it has been so far. But it's a good opportunity for both teams to really try things, maybe stuff that they've worked on already or things that they haven't used in gameplay at the moment. Toowoomba as well. Why not? Why not try some new stuff just to see what works, what doesn't work, see the situations you can put Fountain in. I'd like to see them run a little more action with Fountain and Washington. Like you said, Dan, maybe get them on that high ball, that high screen, and see if they can develop a good combination.
On the other end of things, though, in terms of Southwest, CCAM's been having a great game as well, though. Like, not to talk too much about the Toowoomba side of things and looking at the positives. Like, Southwest is playing a really great game of basketball. They may be up by 22 points early in the second, but they're still playing a really good team game of basketball. And speaking of CCAM, she's on 6 points so far as well, shooting 100% from the free throw line. She's had 5 assists. So, as we sort of said, it's really great to see the likes of CCAM coming out of the Commonwealth Games, really high-quality Australian player, but still dishing off that ball and giving it to some of the younger members of the team to actually get some points on the board as well.
Nice spin move there from Fountain. She's starting to heat up a little bit here in the second quarter.
Yeah, she's
Dan,
struggled.
what do you think of that one?
I like that. Tough first quarter for her, as we've spoken about. Like, you're matching up on probably the best team in the league with C Camp and Bairstow and Nat Taylor. That's a pretty tough introduction for any new player into the QBL. So to find her feet a little bit, get a couple of buckets, that's going to do a lot for her confidence. But Southwest, very well coached team, very unselfish from top to bottom on the roster. They've got all the qualities that you would expect of any team looking to compete. So we'll see how they go tonight and obviously over the next few weeks. But it's going to be an exciting year here at the Pirate Ship for the girls.
Yeah, as we saw a really nice inside-outside passage of play down there end of the court before with CCAM's shot being blocked, but kicking out and giving Nat Taylor that nice little drop 3 as well. So playing a really strong game of basketball, Southwest, at the moment. And really tough defense as well. They're really just not letting Toowoomba have anything easily.
And that's a bit of the difference between the teams you see there, as Fountain does a good job cleaning up a bit of mess, but you see Toowoomba beats the trap on the sideline here. Once you get past the trap, you got to attack the basket there. They pull up and not sure what to do with the ball, and that's that experience level of the players from both teams. That you can see that play right there shows you the difference in experience between a Southwest and a Toowoomba Mountaineers currently as we speak.
Especially when the trap is that high as well. I mean, that was almost right in front of us at halfway. Once you beat that, you've got 2 defenders out of action, so there's a free player somewhere. You know, like it got a little bit lucky in the sense that, you know, it was a bit of a scrap ball and Fountain could go straight to the bucket, but you need to keep attacking. Southwest with the unfortunate turnover there, so ball going to end back in the hands of Toowoomba. But Southwest playing a really good game, rotating through their players as well. I think, looking at the sheet in front of me, I think they've had a lot of bench players subbing in and out of the game as well. I can't see the actual stat in front of me, but they're really rotating through their players. They're letting all the girls play. They're letting them work together as well. So it's really great to see Coach Cheney still subbing through the bench and letting those girls get some experience out here on the floor.
And they have a bye next week, so I think Southwest is really going to try and get every single thing they can get out of the game tonight and this weekend, because having a bye when you're playing well and you're sitting close to the top of the table, it's not always a good thing. You don't necessarily want to stop playing, do you, Dan, when you're on a roll?
No, when you're playing well, you want to keep playing as much as you can for sure. But I mean, look at their roster; they'll be going 5-on-5 at practice, and it will be might be the top 4 teams in the league in terms of you ran their bench out. So be competitive practices, but I mean, Gabriel down the other end for Toowoomba just had a really nice layup going to the paint, and they're showing some much better signs, Toowoomba, in this quarter, and they keep continuing to fight, which is good. They're not giving in, which is positive signs.
Yeah, Southwest playing a very tight half-court defense here. Fountain's pass just turning over out of bounds. Pass not quite good enough to Dickerson, just losing control and dropping the ball out of court. Turnover count really badly affecting Toowoomba at the moment. That out of bounds play there, that's 8 turnovers so far in the game. Really not a statistic they want to keep getting any higher than that.
I think Toowoomba also, though, is probably doing a better job on their glass as well so far in the second quarter. I know it sounds a bit crazy as you see Southwest steal the inbounds there, but they're doing a better job. They're grabbing many more rebounds than what they were in that first quarter.
Yeah, well, at the quarter time break, they only had 9 rebounds total. They're now up to 16. So, you know, they've already done 7 in the first 4 minutes of basketball. So 2 more and they've beat their entire first quarter statistic.
Yeah, percentage-wise, they're shooting a bit better as well. But Southwest is just relentless. You know, Coach Cheney isn't going to take his foot off the pedal at all here tonight. So,
and nor should he. Like, he's trying to develop a championship culture down there, and they're not going to do that if they give in to the mercy rule. So can't blame him for coaching hard, and that's disrespectful to Toowoomba if they did too. So not great for the scoreline if you're Toowoomba, but it's the right thing to do.
And how Southwest, they've been really impressive. Obviously, we've covered them quite a bit so far this season. The women's team, last year's Spartans team was super impressive. Went through the season undefeated. Do you see Southwest in a similar vein so far, Dan, from what you've seen in 2018?
I think in terms of them being very impressive, definitely, and in terms of them having all the pieces to win a championship. And there's obviously some other very good teams in the league that they'll come up against who also have those same pieces in terms of good coaching and a good roster and a balanced attack. But I think last year's Spartans team, I think, is an abnormality going undefeated. I would be surprised if anyone goes undefeated for a few years to come unless there's a super team put together somewhere. So this Southwest team absolutely will be right there at the end of the year, but I would be surprised if they were undefeated at that stage.
Well, let's keep in mind also, though, that Southwest still has yet to add Kalani Purcell. She hasn't played so far for them this season. You had a Kalani Purcell. She could probably be, there's a case for her to be the best player in the QBL competition. You had the best player to one of the top 2-3 teams in this league, and you'd like to think that a player like Purcell would bring you to the next level.
Well, she will, and she's an amazing player, but and obviously has won a title very recently with Spartans last year, so knows what it takes, but that also means less shots for Seacamp, less shots for Besto, so it will have an impact as well. Might have got away with a travel there, but
a little show and go there from Gabriel.
It'll be interesting to see how Southwest does go throughout the season. I definitely don't think they have what it takes to go undefeated throughout the entire season. Bringing in Kalani Patel is definitely going to make a big difference to the team. It's going to add another wealth of talent. But at the same time, they're going to be losing some of their existing talent. You know, with there's that many other commitments going on throughout the year. You're going to be losing the likes of Jade Kirasome is going to be going away to national championships as well, potentially college. You've got a couple of the other girls that are also going to be checking out for different commitments. So I think they've definitely got what it takes if they had their entire roster throughout the season. But in speaking to Coach Cheney, he's going to be losing a lot of the girls here and there throughout the season, and that's going to make it tough.
And how about that play there from Ellsworthy? We say it every time we cover Southwest. She just makes those little plays that doesn't turn up on the score sheet, but she gets herself involved in a bit of everything. Just a great read there, tying up Dickerson and getting the ball back for her team. Those little things. I mean, Ellsworthy has been, for me, one of the more impressive players that I've seen so far in the QBL in 2018.
Yeah, she's definitely been having a great season so far. I think she's going to continue playing at the top of her game as well. She's got a great team to work with out here on the floor in the team. They just know how to move the ball around, find the open player, and she's getting some great opportunities and some great respect from the other girls on the floor. And when you got a coach like Jason Cheney, I mean, he's just going to give her the freedom to play the game that she needs, and he's just going to tweak her here and there to do what, to improve on an already incredible game. So she really does have everything that she needs to have an outstanding MVP-worthy season almost.
Yeah, I think you can see a few Pirates potentially competing for an MVP award. Obviously, a lot going to depend on where they finish on the ladder and how their season continues to go, but Southwest is just a really deep team. They're taking Toowoomba to school here. Just everything that they want to do, they're getting, and they're doing it methodically.
Yeah, and they're just like you said, they're not going to take the foot off the pedal either. They're just going to continue beating, continue pushing in this game as well. Because, like I said, they've got some tough games coming up as well, and they haven't taken on Townsville or any of the tougher northern teams yet either. So those road trip games are going to be very, very interesting to see how the girls go on a double or a triple headed road trip up north.
Well, Southwest has the bye next week, and then they have a tough one against Townsville when they come back after the bye. So,
and that's a tough game after the bye as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you want worse than coming out of a bye round and versing the #1 team on the ladder at the moment. Townsville's been having an absolutely great season, and they too have the potential to have an undefeated season throughout, coming 3 from 3 so far into the season, and a great for and against as well, points-wise.
Yeah, it'll be a good top-of-the-table clash after that bye week next weekend. There's 3 games usually. Usually there's only 1 or 2 games on the Friday night before BQ has their annual awards dinner. So next Friday there's 3 games. We're going to be covering the Ipswich-Toowoomba game next weekend as well for you here on Nothing But Net Media. And those should be, that's a bit of a rivalry game as well, Ipswich and Toowoomba. Dan, you know a little bit about that Ipswich-Toowoomba rivalry, don't you?
I have to say not a whole lot. I went to school in Ipswich, if that counts.
That counts.
But that's a rivalry because that's going to be 2 squads desperate for a win. So rivalry or not, that's going to be a fiercely contested match. Very winnable for both sides, men and women.
Yeah, Ipswich has actually been having a really good season so far, though, as well, because we definitely can't discount Ipswich in that game because they've come 3 from 3 so far in this season. So they've been playing a really, really strong, strong team game.
Radar, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. They're probably one of the most underrated teams so far. You don't think about them as much. We talk about Southwest a lot now in our game talk in Townsville and the Spartans, but Ipswich has sort of almost come out of nowhere, and they're having an incredible season, and they really do have what it takes to take it all the way as well. So, yeah, definitely don't discount them, and it is going to be another tough fight for Toowoomba next week.
I think if you're a Toowoomba, though, what you want to see is week-to-week improvement from the group, whether it's individually or as a team. But I think now that they have the full squad, I think the rotations will probably tighten up a little bit. I think, they'll get to know the players that they have, like Fountain. And I think they might be able to run some more things specifically, like I said, between Fountain and Washington. I think they could be a pretty good combo. They both have some pretty nice skills that should be handy in the QBL.
Yeah, Fountain's definitely starting to find her feet a little bit here in the second. I mean, she was going 0 from 6 in the first, but she's having a much, much better game now. Starting to find her way. She's made a couple of shots. She's on 6 points, trailing only to Washington on 9. So I think if those two can start working together a little bit and stringing some nice passages of play together and passing the ball through the hands of some of the younger girls, they could have a really good season if they set each other up and actually get some assists on the board as well, because even to this moment in time, they're still on 0 assists.
And I think you see that particular play there was an example of it, where Fountain got the defensive rebound, just brought the ball up court, did a little shake, and then pulled up for a jump shot. And again, I think that's part of the adjustment to the QBL, to the league, and to her team. But you'd like to think, and once she does find her feet, she'll get the ball through a couple of different players' hands, move and shift that defense, and then attack gaps.
Nice little pop and shot there from Mellors, taking the lead back out to 30 points, with Grace Champion checking in for the first time for Southwest as well.
Yeah, Champion is a young player who's had some QBL experience previously. I know Dan's got big raps on Champion as a player. She's probably one of the best shooters all around in the QBL.
Yeah, definitely so, and definitely a young talent as well. She's a little bit younger than what even I was expecting, but she's had 2 seasons already in the QBL, I think, with different clubs for the last 2 years. So she's come a long way, and she's having a great season for such a young player. So she's got a really nice shot on her. And again, it's just another shout-out to the team that Coach Janey's pulled together with the wealth of talent on his bench.
Hey, Dan, you remember that Brisbane game that we did and Champion? I think she hit her first 6 threes last year. I mean, that was one of the more impressive shooting performances we saw.
I don't remember it being 6, but it might be one of those games where the longer ago it was, the more shots you made. But first of all, when you play for a team with a purple uniform and you rock up in purple game shoes, that is a sign of a confident young player. So I like it. And she has had a couple of years in the capital system, obviously still very young. But I guess to be, as she passes to Nat Taylor, there'll be a time where she's not a young player anymore. So even if you start young, once you've been in the system for 2 or 3 years, there's going to come a point where she's going to have to step up and start producing, and it's going to be hard to put up numbers on this Southwest team given the depth they've got. She's not going to be a focus because so many girls sacrifice on this squad like we've spoken about, but she's going to have to develop, and this is a great environment for her to do that. Solid coaching, some good veterans to learn off. So hopefully when we come back in 6 weeks and we call another game of hers, she's taking that level up, because she's a young player, but she really should be taking that next step if she's serious about her hoops, which I think she is.
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, Dan, she just needs to take that next step and, almost go the way of Vel Williams Jr. in the Southwest Junior Men's program. He jumped into the program about 2 years ago when he was still 16, 17 years of age for the Southwest men's team. And look at him now. He's, second starting point guard on the team, sometimes starting point guard. So you hit that point in time where you have to step up, and Champion needs to do the exact same thing here. She's got a great team to work with. She needs to take that next level. She needs to show that she's got what it takes out on the floor as well, and just keep shooting. I think it was 5 from 5 last year. I don't quite think it was 6, Johnny, but I think it was at least 5. But she's definitely got what it takes. She just needs to be given that opportunity to show that she can shine, and this is a perfect atmosphere for her to do it.
Yeah, I think tonight she'll get some playing time for sure. I mean, Southwest is up huge at the moment, so you like to think Champion and some of the younger players will get some burn.
And the offense from here, that's a perfect example of Southwest and just how strong a team they are. Their offense is almost impeccable here tonight, isn't it, Dan?
They are looking very good, yes. There is an obvious mismatch going on out there at most positions, but they can only play against who they're playing against, and they're doing a great job. And Toowoomba is still fighting. It's a great quality, but there's just some fundamentals in place that just aren't there for the Mountaineers.
Another foul going against Toowoomba there as well. So lead out to 53-19. So Southwest making a little bit of easy work out of this game as well, but it's all coming down to a whole lot of damn hard work from this Southwest lineup. And even with the lead on the board at the moment, they're still pushing every single passage of play to extend this out.
Well, it's just small things, guys. Like on that last possession, Nat Taylor goes N1, and Toowoomba put 2 girls in the rebounding queue, the bigs. There wasn't a third player to rebound to block out the shooter. So she got the rebound. Like, it's just small things. And that's what we were talking about earlier about junior development. It's unfair to expect a QBL coach to teach those things whilst also coaching a QBL team.
Go very, very long shot there from Dickerson with the hand in the face. And I think there was a little bit of finger on there as well to get the block. I don't think they're going to put that one on the score sheet. Hasn't blocked though, unfortunately. But we are down to the final seconds of this second quarter. Matty Willie just going to hold things out with under 10 seconds to go here for the last shot. And holds out and goes herself and just makes easy work of it to roll one home to get them to 55 points going into the half. So 57 points, sorry, that was. So nice, easy work here for Southwest, but still fighting hard. Don't want to focus on things too much here for the moment. We'll go and take a bit of a break, but we'll check back in about 10 minutes with some halftime statistics and a little bit more of what can be done in this game as well, and some learning opportunities for Toowoomba and Southwest. But in the meantime, this has been your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And we're back with you here at Hibiscus Sports Complex for the QBL Game of the Week between the Southwest Metro Pirates and the Toowoomba Mountaineers. It's been an incredible start for Southwest, currently leading 57-19 over Toowoomba. But, fellas, I want to put it to you. If you're in this situation and you're Toowoomba, what's your one goal by the end of the game? So if you're going out there, you've been getting a pretty rough time. What do you set yourself a goal just to get to 30 points, 40 points, 50 points by the end? Do you work on set plays, or what would you do if you're Toowoomba in a situation like this?
My goal would be to record 1 assist as a team by the end of the game, because so far they're on 0.
Well, that's a pretty good goal. I'd love to see, if I'm Toowoomba, I'm setting myself to win at least this third quarter. I'm going to set myself a small goal to keep them within, let's call it 15-20 and win the quarter.
John. That is not a small goal. That is an enormous task that you are setting yourself.
Well,
I like the optimism.
Going by the first half performance, it certainly is. But I think Toowoomba's done it in flashes. They've looked, pretty decent at certain points throughout that second quarter. If they can string together a couple of stops and get a couple of buckets going, I think the confidence comes up. And who knows, unless if Southwest comes out of this halftime break and thinks that they have the game in the bag and it's over already, Toowoomba might be able to win a quarter here or there.
I think I want to meet you both halfway. I think if I was Toowoomba, I'd want to win the rebound count in this quarter. I'd want to go out there. I'd want to make sure that we're actually boxing out. I want to pull every offensive rebound we possibly can. Because coming into this point of time, they've only got 8 offensive rebounds on the game, and they're shooting at 18%. So that's from 7 from 38. So that's 31 opportunities where they could have pulled an offensive rebound, and they didn't. And I'd want to get some assists on the board. I think you just, like we said, you need to set some small goals. I think rebounding is one big thing they need to work on. Stop turning the ball over and get some assists on the board. Start working as a team and passing around.
I like that start to the quarter. 2 shots, so they did get an O board, and both looks were in the paint, layups, attacking the rim aggressive, not settling for jump shots. That's a great start for the Mountaineers.
Well, that's exactly what we talked about in that first half, Dan. They're settling for jump shots. Again, they come out firing, and that's Washington. She's definitely got the green light, but that's not a shot I'd like to see her take, especially since there was no ball movement.
No, and it makes these other girls who are not going to shoot much, but who do have to play good defense and rebound the ball and look after their matchup, makes it hard for them to stay positive when they turn around and after 1 pass or no passes, the ball's being jacked up early in the shot clock. It's just difficult for the role players to keep rolling.
Yeah, as Washington drives strong there into the inside, gets fouled on the way through as well, so she's going to go to the line. It has definitely been a much better start for Toowoomba so far. They just need to keep it up, but I think the one thing I've noticed already in this first minute, they're tired. They are very, very tired, and they're already, to a degree by the looks of it, giving up a bit. On that last play, when then they got the turnover, they got the steal, they got the ball, and Valic is just sort of dawdling up the court. She's the last player up, no real hustle to get up into the offensive end of the court. So Toowoomba was playing 4-on-5 for the first 5 seconds of that offensive play, because they've got players that are just, it's almost like they don't want to be here anymore. Bairstow, great inside-outside kick. Ellsworthy straight inside to Seacamp on a great cut. Can't get rewarded for the great passage of play and the assist, unfortunately, but stealing the ball back straight away.
Yeah, I think Seacamp would be devastated that she missed that open layup. But that's a defensive slip there by Toowoomba, and that's just communication, really. Or I should say lack of communication. I did speak briefly to Coach Cheney before he headed into the locker room for the halftime break, and asked him, when do you take the foot off the pedal? And he said, we're not taking the foot off the pedal yet. He wasn't happy with his team's performance. He thought they were pretty inconsistent. He wants to see them string together a consistently good 5 or 6 minute stretch of play before he's ready to use his bench, or heavily rely on his bench, I should say.
And I think it is difficult, with all respect to the Toowoomba team. It's hard to play structured, organised basketball consistently when you're playing against a team that's not quite at the same level. It would almost be easier for the Pirates to play that brand of ball against the Townsville or against the Spartans or someone else that's at the higher end of the ladder. But you're right, I'm sure he's looking for a style of play, like we said in the pregame, a culture, a style of hoops that they want to play long into the postseason. And you have to be disciplined enough to play that style no matter who you're playing against. And that's what he's looking for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dan. Like, sometimes it is really hard to play against a lack of structure because you're used to the other team playing a certain way. You're used to them playing man-on-man defense or a zone, but if the team that you're coming up against doesn't really have a proper structure for either of those defensive strategies, it can be very difficult to try and string an offense together because your offensive plays are set up to work with a particular kind of defense. You've got different offensive plays for man-on-man than you do to zone. And if the team's not really doing either, it can be a little bit difficult to actually piece something together.
And I'm surprised, Dan, that Toowoomba hasn't gone back to that zone. I think Southwest is really picking them apart in the man-to-man. In that first half, the Toowoomba zone was pretty effective against Southwest.
That was some great hustle there from Gabriel to get the steal as well. Unfortunately, couldn't put the points on the board to get the full reward, but really, really, again, they have little moments of aggressive defense, but they just can't consistently play to that level.
Ellsworthy looking for her first three of the night. She's missed a few, but long rebound goes back to Southwest.
Yeah, she's not been having a great game from outside. That is only her first three-point shot of the night, Ellsworthy, but she's only shooting 1 from 4 from deep, so she hasn't been having a great game shooting percentage-wise, but man, in every other aspect, she's been playing pretty damn well, and her and C-Camp in particular have been having a really good team game.
Yeah, they've been excellent additions to the Pirates in 2018.
Bairstow again with another big board, kicking out to Ellsworthy. Southwest again is going to keep taking their time, looking for the right passage of play. Ball touching 5 or 6 sets of hands every time down the court. C-Camp not rewarded for the good outside shot there. Washington goes strong on the inside, and Maddie Willie just not quite there in time.
It was a good read there by Washington with the fast break. Nice little hesitation dribble, drew the contact, couldn't get the shot off, but she'll go back to the line for a couple shots. But I think Southwest, you just see the difference. It's not just the talent thing here, it's a style of play. You mentioned it, the possession for Southwest, there was 5-6 people who touched the ball before the shot was taken. And then you see Toowoomba come down this other end, and Washington basically just looking to take the Southwest defense on her own. And that doesn't help anyone in the sense of if you're a teammate and you know you're not going to get the ball, maybe you don't push yourself to get up in a looking for a transition opportunity, or maybe you don't make that hard cut.
Well, and I don't know, but in Washington's defense, she might be saying, well, if I give it up, I'm not going to get it back. So she feels the need to create something instantly. Otherwise, we're going to get a turnover. So there's this real breakdown between structure, culture, cohesiveness, teamwork, whatever word you want to use, between girls feeling the need to make something happen quickly because they just don't really trust each other. And you can see that offensively and also on defense too. But let's keep in mind it's early in the season and the Toowoomba team was almost out of the league. So this is pretty much a brand new mindset that they're trying to create up on the mountain. So it's going to take them a while to adjust, and I think all the signs are there, and they've certainly got the talent, even though the scoreboard wouldn't suggest it at the moment, but they're talented enough with 2 imports now that in a month, 2 months, by the end of the year, they're not going to be a finals team. It's unlikely, but they've definitely got the ability to improve and set in place some really big stepping stones to make some strides next season. Because I think this year is more about establishing culture for Toowoomba, and that's for the men and the women.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. And I think that's the thing as well, is you really just need to set a culture in place so that every member of the team on the court knows how they're going to play. Because at the moment, the big tough thing is, like you said, Washington feels as though she has to do everything herself. She doesn't want to give up the ball because her teammates are turning it over, but she dribbles to the bucket herself. And it's really, really tough in the sense that it's a double-ended sword. She dishes up the ball, it gets turned over, she doesn't get it back, a shot doesn't go in. She holds the ball, drives herself, and her teammates then just get lazy and demotivated and don't cut, don't drive, don't look to actually get the ball. And that just creates a bad culture for the rest of the season. So they kind of need to find a middle ground where the ball is getting dished out, but there just needs to be a little bit of improvement in terms of teamwork, culture, and just a team game of basketball as a whole, I think.
There's a great out-of-bounds play there from Southwest. They're just running everything they can tonight, and everything really seems to be working percentage-wise. You see them now drop back into a zone here for Southwest. Little 2-3 action. Looks like almost a matchup zone.
Yeah, it's a very tight zone, very tight-knit as well. Like, it's all inside the keyway. Players not wanting to stretch out too much on the wings. They are very much staying inside the keyway. But, yeah, very tight man-to-man zone almost. It's kind of halfway in the middle. So, Coach Cheney obviously mixing things up, trying something new. Maddie Willie way open on the left-hand side of the court there. Unable to put the layup in the bucket, though.
Yeah, she's
quite obviously very furious at herself for missing that one.
Willie has been fantastic for the Pirates so far this season. Yeah, we probably haven't been talking enough about the type of season Maddie Willie's having. Probably not her best game so far tonight, but she's averaging about 19 points a game coming into the game tonight, nearly 9 rebounds a game, and she's at about 6 assists. So she's doing it all as she has always done for the Pirates, but her percentages are up, her shooting percentages from the field, from 3, from the free throw line, everything is up. So Willie, I thought maybe with the additions Southwest made, you might see a dip in the play of Maddie Willie, but it's actually helped her increase her production, which is a good sign for Southwest.
Yeah, she's been a really quiet achiever this year, and I think we said this last week when we were watching the games, John, is Maddie just consistently performs and she goes under our radar because we've obviously seen her in this league for so long, unlike the likes of Seacamp and Ellsworthy and some of the other teams that have come into Southwest. But Maddie's having a great game. She's on 11 points so far, shooting at 60% from the field, and she's got 6 assists to her name as well. So she's having an outstanding game of basketball. She just always flies under our radar. We're so used to her consistent game.
Yeah, that's better ball movement there from Toowoomba against the Southwest zone. Working the ball into the paint and then kicking it out to Dickerson, who hit the long 2. But that's what you like to see. Ball movement, getting touches, working the ball through different players' hands as Kirisome starting to heat up a bit from outside for the Southwest.
Yeah, and again, I love that inside-outside passage of play. Maddie really just driving straight under the bucket and kicking it out for that wide-open 3.
And just get to talk a little bit about Jade Kirisome. We mentioned Southwest missed her last week. She was away, comes back in, firing away. Dan, she's going over to, I believe she's going to Gardner-Webb, a Division I college over in the U.S. So just goes to speak on the talent that Kirisome brings to the floor for Southwest.
And that's so exciting for anyone to be going over, but to a program like that, that's going to be an amazing 4 years for her.
Kirisome going straight to work on the defensive end as well, working hard to get the steal.
That's an
Washington
ACL.
goes down
I really
very,
hope it's
very
not.
tough.
That does not look good.
No, that does not look good at all. She's kind of clutching the back of her knee, or it could potentially be a hamstring, but didn't look good at all, Dan, did it?
I'm not sure there was much contact, and she didn't step in anyone's foot. It's just it's almost like Euro stepping through the lane
Looks
and
like
just got it on a bad angle, and that let's hope it's not, but
she's in a lot of pain. We'll take a break. We'll try and get an update for you on Washington. She's going to get some treatment here, looks like, from the physio. We'll keep an eye on things. We'll take a break in the action. Hopefully we'll get an update and hope Washington is okay. But we'll update you when we come back with a score at 68-26 for Southwest over Toowoomba in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.
And we're back with you here at the QBL Game of the Week between the Southwest Metro Pirates and Toowoomba Mountaineers. Unfortunately, it does look like it's been quite a tough injury there for Milena Washington. It is a suspected ACL. We're not sure of the extent of the damage. We will try and keep you updated as much as we possibly can, but we really do hope that everything is okay with Washington, because we do want to see her back in the competition. She's been having a great season so far, and pretty good game here tonight as well. So we do wish her all the best, and hopefully she's not too far off recovery.
Yeah, unfortunately for Washington, it does look like it's an ACL or ligament damage. They're going to get I believe an ambulance was called for them to take her to the hospital to have it checked out. But, yeah, it looked like she just lost her leg underneath her. We were talking a little bit, it looked like maybe a bit of a Euro step, and her leg just slipped out from underneath her. And you can see right away the amount of pain that she was in. She seemed to be in decent spirits when she came off the court, but obviously in a lot of pain. So we wish Milena Washington all the best, and hopefully it's not as bad as everyone suspects.
Yeah, and in terms of Toowoomba Mountaineers now, it's a really good opportunity for Fountain to step up and show what she's got in this game as well, because so far in this one, Washington really has been leading the way. She's sitting on 14 points so far for the Mountaineers. Fountain's only sitting on 6, having a 14% shooting game from the field. So hopefully she steps up and she starts, being a little bit more aggressive, attacking the basket and, cutting in. There's a great opportunity there. Couldn't quite get the pass inside from Dickerson, but a really good look from Fountain cutting to the basket there. If she had got the ball, easy roll to the bucket for 2.
Yeah, good give and go from Southwest on the other end. Page finishes, and that's one thing that Toowoomba probably could use, a bit of give and go action, just keeping it basic.
Southwest really pressing up hard on Toowoomba, just not letting them get anything easily. It was almost a 3-on-1 press at halfway to stop them getting the ball through. They did manage to break it as Fountain takes a deep 3. That one's no good. Southwest again strong on the defensive boards. Southwest just letting the shot clock tick down. Kira Some, though, taking the long 3. That's no good, bouncing out. But great defensive rebound there from... Who was that in the end?
Looked like it was...
From Mellors?
Mellors, yeah.
And Southwest going to go to their bench, subbing in Neve Tratt for the first time in the game today as well. So she's going to see some court time. And, again, really good opportunity for the youngster to get some time with these experienced players. Yeah,
Tratt had a pretty good game last weekend when we covered the Southwest matchup. She had some pretty nice minutes. Kirisome has the green light, and she drains another deep 3 this time for Southwest.
Page, great defense there to get the steal, and Fountain not happy with her offense either. Turning around, giving her a little bit of a shove, a little bit of a love tap on the pass as well. But Southwest is going to work on the offense.
That was a great finish.
Page trying again to get the same stop. Couldn't quite get away with it that time as Dickerson goes to the bucket. Fountain going to work on the offensive boards in the putback.
Yeah, Fountain, we haven't seen her really much inside the paint so far this evening.
No, I think she's going to have to learn to live in there a little bit more, and I'm sure if Washington does have to miss a bit of time, they're obviously going to have to rework their structure, and they may put some plays where Fountain gets some post-ups, or who knows, but I think her in the paint is good for Toowoomba.
Southwest putting the pressure on again. Dickerson, sorry, not Dickerson, that one was Gabriel, just losing the ball on that out-of-bounds passage. And turning over for Southwest. Again, Toowoomba just really struggling to keep control of the pill.
Like we've said, I think Southwest should continue to play as hard as they possibly can to the buzzer. But I'm not sure that they need to be putting on a full-court press at the moment. I'm not sure about that. 79-28 full-court press, and you just lost your point guard.
I think it's also
I wouldn't be doing that.
It's also the style of play that you want to play, though, Dan, isn't it? I mean, you want to develop good habits.
But how does that help you playing against a team that has one point guard that's just out for the season potentially? Like, how does this pressing now help anybody? We will discuss in the fourth quarter.
That we will indeed, because that is three-quarter time. It is 81-20 out, 28, sorry, more like it. Southwest with a commanding lead leading into the three-quarter time break. So we will take a bit of a quick break, but there are many discussions to be had as we come back. This is your QBL Game of the Week presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to QBL Game of the Week between the Southwest Metro Pirates and the Toowoomba Mountaineers. I think the more pressing matter on hand for us at the moment is the QBL Debate of the Week between John Guana and Dan George. Boys, 50-point game, full court press. Dan, you're against. John, you're for.
John gets the floor.
Well,
this is his broadcast.
It's not my broadcast, it's our broadcast, but I think I like it. I think you still want your team working on what you work on. There's nothing like putting what you want to see out of your team in a live game action as far as I'm concerned. It's still only the third quarter as well, so why not go for it? You want to do it against teams that you're going to play. They already faced Toowoomba, but there's nothing like performing it in a live game as opposed to practice. That's why I like it, and I don't mind it at all. I don't think it's a disrespectful thing at all. I think it's basketball. You're here to win the game.
I have two questions for you. I understand what you're saying, and I understand and I agree to a certain point, so that is cool. My question is, first of all, we all love the NBA.
Yes.
There are players here in the QBL that think they're NBA level players, so let's talk about the NBA. If there's 10 seconds left in a game and there's a 15-point differential and someone lays the ball in, why does everyone want to fight that player?
That's at the end of the game, though.
That's basketball etiquette.
This is the third quarter.
But it's basketball etiquette. Toowoomba are not good. They have one point guard that's capable of bringing the ball up the court. She's out for the season with an ACL, we think. You're pressing a bunch of kids, basically. They can't get the ball over halfway. That doesn't help. It doesn't help Southwest pressing these guys. You may as well go press the under-14 Southwest team and think you're getting better. I feel strongly that you should take it off.
But don't you
54 points up. Play good half.
Don't you think it helps Toowoomba, though, to face something like that as well?
No. This crushes their spirit. This is not good for them. And Southwest get layups out of steals against a weak Toowoomba team. That doesn't help Southwest offense develop. Play good half-court ball. Go down the other end. Coach Chaney say, girls, we're up 54, 60, 70 points. We're going to run this set to get this shot for this player. Don't get cheap layups pressing against a weak offense.
But what about practicing your defense, though?
Practice during the next 2 weeks while you got to buy against a good quality opponent like your bench, not against a bunch of girls that are completely out of their depth.
Fair enough. I agree with some of your points, Dan, but I think we'll agree to disagree.
That is the beauty of living where we live. We can have different opinions.
That's right.
Well, I'm claiming Switzerland, so I'm going to stay right out of that one. I agree with both of some of your points. But nonetheless, the Southwest is going to press up. They're going to keep playing this one through to the last buzzer. The lead is extended out to 52 points at the moment. Toowoomba definitely starting to do a lot of things right. The game is coming together a little bit. There's a nice little inside passage of prey there, but no good, unfortunately. Neve Tratt getting the big block for Southwest.
That's a good block there by Tratt, really stepping in and helping the defense.
There's a warnings issued there for Toowoomba as well. That one going against Kimberly Wilson. Just not happy with the foul call after the block.
It's an all-youth lineup at the moment here. There's a foul on Tret.
That's a foul on Taylor Valash. Just pushing for no reason.
Yeah, the Toowoomba girls are definitely visibly frustrated out on the court. You saw it before with
Of course they are. They're
with
getting
Wilson.
full court press when they're down 80 points. I'd be frustrated too, wouldn't you, John?
No, I
Is
love
this
it.
round 2? Debate round 2?
Yes, bring it on.
Coming back for seconds, hey, Thunder.
That's more aggressive defense from Fountain, going all the way to the bucket off the steal as well. Giving a sneaky little elbow to Ellsworthy there by the looks of it on the turnaround as well.
And I think all that's doing is causing the referees to call it a little bit tighter as well. But you like the fight in Toowoomba. They're not going to back down. They're not happy about things. I think Southwest goes back and reinserts Seacamp and Ellsworthy as well. So I think Southwest wants to send a message here.
Yeah, we got to give your bench a play as well, but at the same time, you don't want to give your champion players too much time off the court as well, especially going into bye week. You need to still give them a bit of a run so they can keep their game together, but work with their younger players as well, which is why it's so good that they still have, you know, a couple of their younger players on the floor. You've still got Champion out there, and you've also got Voda Rosova as well. So it is good that they're mixing up the experience with the juniors.
Yeah, and you see Miller is going to come back in, so the bench minutes were a bit short-lived at the moment, at least for Southwest.
But nonetheless, Voda Rosova going straight to work with that big steal and going all the way downtown for the nice easy bucket on the inside as well. Mellors again with another steal, 2 in a row for Southwest. She'll slow it down though, and Southwest going to take their time on this one. Or not, Champion straight to work on the three-point bomb. Fountain defensive board.
Yeah, Fountain only had eyes for the basket there, just a little too strong on that layup attempt.
Fountain is playing a much more aggressive game of basketball in this fourth quarter though. You know, obviously understanding that Washington's gone down injured, Fountain is going to have to step up, and she is playing a much more aggressive game. She's actively chasing the steal, and she's driving down the bucket and actually looking aggressive on the layup.
Yeah, a bit of frustration there from Valich. Just a silly turnover there. You never really see. You don't usually see your 4 or your 5 pushing the ball up court. That's why you usually give it up earlier to one of the guards to bring up.
Yeah, Fountain just working a little bit too hard, too quick, I think. So she needed a bit of a sub as well. So Toowoomba going to the bench. Southwest with another opportunity to put some more buckets on the board. It's a good defensive board there for Toowoomba. That one going to Elena Black. She was working quite tough on the inside to pull that one down, which is good to see. Again, it's good that the younger players are starting to fight for some of those defensive rebounds.
Yeah, Toowoomba's not going away without a fight here, that's for sure.
Mellors straight to work off the inbound pass. Bairstow, strong offensive board, straight back to the bucket for 2 as well.
Yeah, everyone's contributing for Southwest tonight. It's a good, solid team win for Southwest. I think they'd be happy with the majority of their play, but I'm sure Coach Cheney will ask them to step up their defensive intensity. I think that might be another reason why he's asking them to press and all these different looks on the defensive side of things, because he wants to see better play from them on the defensive end.
Yeah, Mellors, nice little spin around jump shot there as well. And look, I can agree to that point as well. I mean, at the end of the day, there are a lot of teams that can shoot the ball, and you know, Southwest is the epitome to that this season. So far, they've got such a strong shooting percentage. But at the end of the season, what's going to win you the game is not how well you can shoot; it's how well you can defend and how well you can stop the other team from putting points on the board. So I get it in the sense that, you know, Coach Cheney obviously wants to get his girls to work and he wants to practice his defensive pressure and that. So it is a tough situation to be in.
Good finish there by Seacamp as well. It's just been too easy for Southwest. Toowoomba defensively not really communicating very well. They're losing their defenders left and right. I think you can certainly nail that one in the sense that they need to do a better job communicating on the defensive side of the ball.
So we see Fountains check back in after that very, very quick break, going straight to work on the right-hand side. Seacamp just getting a little bit of a bump on the side there as well and picking up the foul.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that from Fountain over the next few weeks too. Just took her time, patient, attacked the rim, didn't settle for a jump shot. Those are good signs. And I mean, if she can be aggressive, and not that she would know who Seacamp is, but most of the other girls in the league do, given she's only been here for a couple of days. But I mean, very good defender she's going at, and got herself 2 points from the foul line.
That was a confident call there, Dan. Giving her 2 before she hits the second. I like it.
I had faith.
Well, she does go 4 from 4, so shooting very well from the free throw line is Fountain. So Basto going to bring the ball in for Southwest, straight to Ellsworthy, but handed back again. Shot clock ticks down into single digits as Mellors has it at the top of the key. But Champion, she's going to try and fire her three-point back on form, but no good. Manages to pick up her own offensive rebound again. Champion not quite on her game this afternoon.
Yeah, she's way off.
Yeah, compared to that 5 from 5, I still stand by that, not 6. Just having a little bit of a tough shooting game today.
Definitely a tough night for Champion, but she'll keep shooting until it starts to fall.
And it won't take long for that shot to fall either. So back on the court for Southwest is the captain, Maddie Willie, and Jade Kirisome checking back in for a final couple minutes as well. Just under 5 to go in the fourth quarter of the QBL game of the week. Fountain bringing it down the court for Toowoomba, getting ready to go to work. Just trying to find a handoff pass.
Yeah, Sarah Ellsworthy doing a great job on Gabriel, denying her the ball. Gabriel got herself in some trouble.
Fountain with only 2 seconds to shoot, almost good with a rushed, very deep three-point shot. Toowoomba just losing a little bit of track of the clock on that occasion.
Good steal though by Gabriel. She's going to streak down the court.
Willie though is going to chase her down and almost get the block on her as well. That's some great foot speed from Willie to catch up from quite a fair distance behind. Steph Bairstow just drives down and takes a nice easy jumper from inside.
Yeah, I think Gabriel just needs to push that one and shoot it a little more confidently, not worry about the defense. She was looking for the contact and didn't get it.
Yeah, Fountain's 3, no good. Mellors on the breakaway after trying to defend the three-point shot as well. Great assist up the court as well for the easy 2 points on the inside. As Toowoomba goes to take a timeout with 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of the QBL game of the week. So we're going to take a break as well, but we'll be back with you shortly with more live QBL action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to the QBL Game of the Week presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. We have 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter between Southwest and the Toowoomba Mountaineers. Nice recover from Gabrielle as she fell over and almost lost control for another turnover, but great fight back to keep that one in court. They'll have 17 on the shot clock to get some points back up again.
Yeah, if I'm Toowoomba, I want to make sure I get a good look at the basket here. Preferably something inside in the paint. Southwest doing.
Well, Southwest are back in a zone, so it does present some opportunities. And this is where you really miss your point guard, just to, direct traffic, recognize they're in a zone, tell girls to go where. It's tough when you lose your floor general to get a good quality shot.
Yeah, Toowoomba definitely did not recognize the zone there. It's one thing to move the ball through hands, but you got to do it with a purpose, with an intent. And at that time, in that possession, I don't think Toowoomba had an intent for anything really.
Dickerson, that was a lot more aggressive from her as well. Nice little right-hand fake to drive to the left-hand side of the bucket. She picked up the foul on that occasion as well. So much better offensive play from her.
Yeah, and that's what we mean. You can handle, you can pass the ball around all that you want, Dan. But if you're not going anywhere with it, doesn't matter. Defense, especially in a zone, they're just going to sit against it. I think Dickerson did a good job on that play there. Faking one way and then attacking a gap, and that's
Definitely
what you need to do against the zone.
Absolutely.
Hits them both too, so. There's a good ball movement there. Kirasame, little too strong. Didn't hit the shot clock though, so Southwest, good block there from Fountain. Mellors though steals it back, and Nat Taylor recovers for Southwest.
Really with it now as the shot clock ticks down into single digits. She goes all the way to the bucket, and for the and one.
And so it's now 99 total points for Southwest. Willie at the free throw line with the three-point play opportunity. She can hit it and put Southwest on 100 points, which is a pretty solid effort for the Pirates.
Yeah, and Dickerson checks out with her 5th foul on that occasion as well. Just while we're waiting for the free throw as well, we'll take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Looking up the Sunshine Coast, it looks like the Phoenix are currently leading 76-66 over the Brisbane Capitals. And in the middle of the state, Gladstone Port City Power are 44, just trailing to the Mackay Meteorettes. They're in period 3 with 2 minutes to go. And then way up far north, Cairns Dolphins 41 are trailing to the North Gold Coast Seahawks 62-41.
Under 2 to go now. Southwest still putting the pressure on Toowoomba at the moment. See Maddie Willie just drain a 3 there.
And again, Dickerson really starting to show a little bit of form in this last quarter as well. She's stepped up since the captain went down. Just playing a little bit more of an aggressive game of basketball to put her 6 points on the bucket. She should step up and take a free throw as well.
Where was that for the first 3 quarters? That aggressive play, trying to force yourself into the basket. I think, like we said earlier, they've had some nice moments. Toowoomba, they just need to string together a consistent, nice 5-6 minutes when and if possible.
But hopefully she remembers the last few minutes and she can take it into next weekend and do that for 10-15 minutes, and then following week you can do it for 15-20 minutes and just gradually build. And I think those are the small steps that these girls are going to have to take throughout the course of the season. Oh my God. Does she not know there was 6 seconds left?
I don't think so.
I don't think she did, because she definitely rushed that shot. She probably had an opportunity to get to the rim there, but
yeah, well, on that occasion, I'd like to see a shot fake and then a strong drive, like either right or left, whichever way she wants to go. But
she thought it was expiring, but it was not.
Yeah, and that's just poor game awareness, though. I mean, at this kind of league, you can't ever let the shot clock get out of. You can't not know what the shot clock is actually on, especially when there's actually 5 seconds to go. You need to be aware of what's it on. Have a quick glance, take the fake, and then find an easier option if you can.
Hey, Dan, any thoughts on Southwest now? Does any of this reaffirm your thoughts on them coming into the season?
It's hard to judge, and I have not seen enough of the other teams to comment really, John, but we've seen enough of Southwest now on our broadcast to know that they're going to be very good no matter who they play against. And they'll just get better and better the more these girls play together. So they're going to be a real threat, and I look forward to seeing them play against some other teams in the league throughout the season on our broadcast and also come finals time as well. Unless, of course, Dave Durr wants to step up and call the women's finals this year, in which case I won't see him, but that may not happen.
Speaking of, Dave's lining up to get on the mic for the men's matchup. We will have Toowoomba versus Southwest following the women's game here.
Are they going to shoot it here, John?
It looks like it.
Do you agree with that as well?
I do. I like it.
Oh,
You got to play right to the end.
basketball etiquette has gone out the window here at the pirate ship.
I think it went out a long time ago, Dan.
And that does ring in the final buzzer in the QBL Women's Game of the Week. It is the Toowoomba Mountaineers 42, Southwest Metro 109. It's a bigger lead than the game a couple of weeks ago up the mountain, so Southwest is continuing to dominate on the home floor here. And look, we'll quickly run through some stats and wrap things up before we go back to the men's game, which is going to be a really competitive battle if Southwest does have a couple of players out with injuries as well. So looking on the stat sheet for Southwest, look, you've got a great range of points across the board. Mellor's leading the way on 26 with Willow and Basto both on 17 apiece. Seacamp a little bit quiet from the scoring side of things with only 12. Kira Some also putting 12 as well. But Seacamp getting a triple-double on the board. She got 11 rebounds and 10 assists. And it's not very often you see a double-double or triple-double or anyone with 10 assists in a game of basketball. So really great game there for her. Maddie Willie just missing out on her double-double with 9 assists as well. So Southwest, a total of 33 assists on this occasion. That has to be close to a league record, I would say. 33 is pretty massive from the assist side of things.
Plus minus of 45 a record.
Has to be close.
They would have to be close. Willie and I think Mello's both plus 45. That's very impressive.
Yeah, and Nat Taylor coming off the bench with a 43 as well. So there's some really great plus-minus scores for Southwest. Jumping down the other side of things, Washington and Fountain both ending up on 14 points apiece. Obviously Fountain playing an extra 10 minutes as well. So really tough game coming out of Toowoomba Mountaineers. They did end up getting a couple of assists on the board as well for you,
Great.
Dan. So
mission accomplished.
they did end up getting 3, and they had 11 steals as well, and 39 rebounds. So they did definitely pick up there as well. But that about wraps things up here. Do you got any final thoughts, gentlemen? Or
Southwest just continues to roll. Toowoomba, you know, it was always going to be a tough matchup for them, but they didn't give up. They fought to the end. Like I said, had some good moments. And I think things will continue to go up for them. Unfortunately for Washington, it looks like she won't be back, though. We'll try and see if we can get an update, and we'll give that to you in the men's game as well. But,
yeah.
you know, best of luck to her, and hopefully it's not as bad as we think it is.
Dan?
I have nothing left. Good call, fellas. I look forward to the men, so hang around if you're watching now. This will be a good contest. I think the Toowoomba men are much improved this year. And Southwest have some good talent as well, so this will be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good game out here on the floor for the men. But that wraps things up for your QBL Women's Game of the Week. Once again, thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching. I've been Regan Baker. Big thanks to Dan George on the call with me and John Guana on the panel and doubling up to call as well. Chris Sieber on the camera. James down in Sydney as well helping us out. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you soon for the men's game in your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.